And welcome to the ThroBak Guitar Lounge Podcast, episode number 32.
32, the Christmas
2025 special edition.
You've got a special wardrobe for this show.
You didn't get the memo again. I've got my ugly Christmas sweater on that was custom made.
Well, let's get a full view of that.
Look at that. See that? People see what it says?
It says this human belongs to, and it's got 3 cats here.
No, 4.
4?
Yeah.
I see Ollie, Poppy, Edward,
and then Minnie's on this side over here, but her name is down over here.
You've got your ugly Christmas sweater. So I take it you have 4 cats.
I have 4 cats at home.
Now
we're probably napping as we speak.
So your cats, is there a story to each name? Like, does Poppy love popcorn?
Poppy, I think I just got that name. Poppy's our newest addition. She's been with us since the summer of 2022, so that's over 3 years now. I think I just looked up a name.
What are the other names here? Ollie,
Oliver.
Is that a particularly Christmas-y?
It's Oliver is like one of the most popular names for cats and for boys right now.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of the top names.
And what's the one on the lower left of your abdomen?
Over here, way over here. This one. That's Minnie.
Minnie. Is Minnie the biggest or the smallest?
She's the daintiest. She's a female. She's very neat and tidy. She has these beautiful little paws. We got her in, I think, in the fall of 2017. Mm-hmm. Ollie was our COVID cat. We got him in September of 2020.
COVID cat. I guess. Okay.
Well, because everybody was cooped up, and then we also had lost. We adopted Edward with Jacob, and Jacob.
Did he have a coat of many colors?
No, he was an orange cat too, but Jacob unfortunately died in January.
Oh, come on, let's bring us down on the Christmas
supposed to talk about death. Sorry.
Kitty cats are supposed to live forever.
Yeah. Oh, poor Jacob was a nice cat. We miss Jacob.
All right. Well, somewhere he's watching. Okay. Okay. So we've got the show today is Heritage versus Gibson. This is the focus of the whole thing.
It's a battle of the custom shop guitars.
Yeah. Heritage Custom Core against Gibson. Sorry. Gibson. I'm already confused. The Gibson Custom Shop or 8.
Right.
We're gonna this will be the Guitargument topic of focus and everything else. So, well, let's get on with the ThroBak Mailbox first. Right. Here, Matthew, you've got a few items that were called to our attention, and let's let everybody know about that.
Okay. The first question was someone asked on the comments from the last show. They said, "Did you guys see the shout out to ThroBak videos that pedal show did last week?"
Yeah, I didn't even know about this until you read it just now and told me when you were making a list for the show.
Yeah, so in the last That Pedal Show episode, they did a 500-pound, in it because it's from England, 500-pound pedal board challenge, and then part of the show, Mick does a magnet flip, and he thanks you on a humbucker, and he thanks you at the top of it, saying that ThroBak has a very good tutorial on how to do this on their website.
That's true, we do. I'm glad he located that, and so thank you for the call out.
That's the international guitar community coming together there. You see, they're way over across the Atlantic, and everybody helping each other out.
We said hi to them once upon a time at NAMM.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be there. You'll see them.
And Daniel, over the years, like long ago, had kind of traded pedals and some of our stuff and bought some for clients he was making pedal boards for. This is long before they were doing the show. So, well, I'm glad that our little video could help him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
And he was nice enough to thank us for it, so it's nice. Then I've got a question here. It's sort of for this time of the year. We're getting some questions about the best way to battle the lack of humidity.
Oh, yeah. Especially here in Michigan.
Yeah, we're getting it right
the forced air heat. So I find it. Oh, so the answer usually is it's got to be 40% relative humidity. I have found that if I keep it 30% and above, it's fine. So that's it can be very challenging to keep it. Well, actually, in Michigan, if you have 40% humidity, you're almost for certain going to start getting condensation on your windows. At least that's been my experience. But keeping it 30%, between 30 and 40% seems to be doable. And of course, as it gets drier outside, it's your relative humidity inside is going to drop also. So I just want to make sure that it does not go below 30%. That's my strategy, and it's worked. But I made the mistake here of having a couple of guitars that I forgot I had left in the storage room that's not in this space. Mm-hmm. It's in the kind of in the hall, and that's not humidified. And one of those guitars had binding, and the fretboard had shrunk quite a bit, and the binding was kind of, you could feel the ends of the frets kind of distorting the binding. So yeah, you do want to be real careful about that. That's a potential with an electric that people don't think about, is that if it gets too dry and your guitar has binding, then you're potentially going to have those little hairline splits by the frets, which isn't so unusual to see on an older instrument, but if you can avoid it, avoid it. Unfortunately for that guitar, I didn't avoid it. But it's not the end of the world. It's kind of annoying, but keeping it to 30% or between 30 and 40% seems to take care of all that.
And you've got, we have two different humidifiers here, don't we?
I used to run two. Now it seems like I've got these big giant ones that I think they hold like close to 4 gallons, 4 gallons
at least
between those two tanks. And but it's underneath the inlet for the heat pump for this space. That seems to be enough. Initially, I had one by the heat pump back there and one in the sort of office space up here, but it didn't really seem to be necessary. It seems to usually find its way in here. Mm-hmm. So,
next question I've got says, I'm considering your vintage guitar strings. What type would be appropriate for a 1954 Fender Esquire and 1962 Fender Telecaster? Thank you in advance.
Fender Esquire?
A 54 Fender Esquire.
Okay. My recommendation would be, and this is just a personal one, well, if they were a vintage one, the 54 Esquire, I would assume would have had flat wounds, which we don't make. But along the lines of a vintage choice for it, the pure nickel hex core I find works really well with a Alnico 5 Telecaster or Stratocaster pickup, both of which 54 and was the other 62?
62, yep.
Those would both be of the Alnico 5 era. If it's Alnico 3, I do think nickel-plated steel strings is the better choice. And hex core or round core would be personal preference. For years, I played round core pure nickel, and they sound great too. But I think you get a little bit more snappy low end with the hex core. That you lose a little bit of the snappiness on the low end with the pure nickel, and you get a little bit back with the hex core, which is, I think that's kind of why I like it. But the round core is a bit more of a chunky sound in comparison. They both sound great, but for an Alnico 5, again, pure nickel strings and Alnico 3 nickel-plated steel, because that extra bit of steel on the wrap wire helps get a little hotter signal from an Alnico 3 pickup. And it seems to work real well with that.
Nice. And then the final inquiry is that people want to know where Paul is.
Oh, Paul is working again. We we're going to have Paul will be back. We just haven't set up the Paul cam. This is such a busy time of the year that we're fitting the podcast in between the orders going out and that extra effort of the Paul cam, and two, he's not going to necessarily be in one spot for very long.
He's got a lot to do today
while we're doing this. So, but Paul is well and working hard, and we thank him for that.
Yes, thank you, Paul.
Okay, is that it for the? Is that the last of the ThroBak Mailbox? Okay, so
that's the only last question.
So we're going to go to player grade vintage, but this is a little variation on the player grade vintage. I'm going to morph player grade vintage this episode into future vintage. Do you get the concept? I've ran this by you quickly. The concept of the future vintage is these are newer or new guitars of today that have a good chance
potential
of appreciating in value to 10, 20 years, being in the category of your future vintage.
So it's like being able to maybe it's using some of your investment knowledge, trying to predict what will be.
Well, I mean,
what will be valuable in the future.
Well, I think scarcity is one of them, right? Mm-hmm. So what is becoming more and more scarce in the guitar world is USA made production guitars.
True.
Would you say?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
USA made production guitars, and also guitars that still I think the nature of a guitar is still that there's a lot of handwork in it, but a lot of the handwork details to not only USA made, but handwork details of like rolled fretboard edges, necks that are hand shaped and maybe not completely CNC shaped, scraped binding, things like this, the processes that have to be done by hand. I think those will, as time goes on and the world is taken over by robots, we know it's going to happen.
The dystopia that we're all waiting for.
No, it'll be great. It's going to be great, Matthew. Your sweater's an example right here, Matthew. Once upon a time, this sweater would have been weaved with a machine. Before that, with hands.
Grandma would have knitted this.
Now this thing was spit out by an inkjet printer, a printer of some sort, wasn't it? You just typed in your order, and it regurgitated that sweater.
It feels like some kind of
personalized to you.
Yeah, like a hockey sweater or something.
So that is going to become more the norm, and with guitars also. So along those lines, the two examples I'm going to show here is a Gibson R8 from 2023 that I bought it recently, and a Heritage H150 custom core guitar that I picked up from the factory. Now, I bought these with my own dollars, just so you know. Heritage or Gibson not paying me for this. They cost real money. But I love both of these guitars. We're going to compare them, and we're going to make our case for these being potential future vintage guitars.
Right.
Am I crazy for this? You think this is okay? Well, let's.
No, because who knows what the future holds? I mean,
I'm serious. We don't know much longer you're going to get hand scraped binding.
Yeah, no.
I don't know.
The last time I was down at Heritage was I took the it was their sort of the Heritage owners club had their little annual day at the factory, and they gave us the tour, and we went through the finishing area, and people were hand scraping the binding. And
okay,
so which one are we going to start with? Are we both going to get one?
We'll grab both here and see how quickly I can do this. I may have to edit, but just so you know, I love both of these guitars.
They look nice. They both look nice.
And just so you know, I actually got two of each of these guitars because, believe it or not, we don't have enough Les Paul style guitars here. keep having to swap them out for all the pickup models. So I like, well, this needs to be done. So, all right, here we go.
Drum roll, please. There's one.
Okay, so all right, Matthew, should we show them here for the now? This is I am holding a 2023 R8 reissue Les Paul 58 reissue Les Paul that I got from Eddie's Guitar, and they had a special run of these made, and they still have a bunch at a very good price break, and they were very good to deal with. So if you're interested in it's a plain top, but it actually has a bit of flame. Call out to that, to Eddie's Guitar for that. So Matthew is holding a little further from the camera there, Matthew. You're getting all that shine off the lights
there.
You go. Okay, this is a beautiful Heritage Custom Core 2025, and this has, I think this is dark cherry burst finish. That's with correct. A AAA.
Yep.
Flame top.
You can see that.
And you can get these from Sweetwater. And again, I do not have an affiliate link with Sweetwater or any affiliate relationship with them. But, there's Heritage dealers. But Sweetwater seems to have a really good selection of Heritage guitars all the time. And periodically, they will have what I appear to be custom runs for them that are at particularly nice discount. And so anyway,
I checked before we came on air here, and they have almost 100 guitars at Sweetwater. Heritage guitars, I mean. Yeah.
So I'll start with this one. Here's a plain top R8. And again, now my case for this being future vintage is obviously it's a classic design.
Sure.
And these are the specs that people associate with the most desirable vintage Les Pauls already. In the case of the Gibson Les Paul here, they have periodically upgraded the specs, and I think at the stage of this guitar, it's got hide glue, and some of the plastic is butyrate as far as the rings, and I think they claim the pickguard is too, although I'm not so sure, but it doesn't feel that way. Maybe it's a harder material. They also updated the knobs. So this era and current era of these have most of the upgrades that I think people were hoping they would do over, let's say, a 2001, 2002 and forward. The knobs used to split on these things because they were of a plastic that would not hold up, and that sort of thing has been corrected with this guitar. The pickups, of course, can be upgraded, but that seems to be an evolving item for them. But the guitar itself, I think, is got all of the features that one associates with the classic specs of this model. And so, Matthew, you've got a bunch of papers here. So let's I don't want to block the view of the fine Heritage H150 Custom Core. Now, what's this have going for it, Matthew?
Well, it's got a much fancier top than the you've got a plain top in a antiquity burst. This is a AAA.
I think that's a dark Heritage cherry burst. Is that what?
It's called dark cherry.
Oh,
that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know if we can get the light in there, but it's a AAA. I think the pickups are somewhat similar. I think they're both Alnico 3.
Well, that's right. They're both Alnico 3, and we will play these. They're both Alnico 3, but they sound surprisingly different because I played these at band practice. Mm-hmm. And the Heritage was much clearer. It was my impression playing it, and that seems you had the same impression.
I thought so too.
Which is interesting. They've obviously done some work on, I think, on optimizing Alnico 3 for the Heritage pickups. I went to pick these up, and I think some of the pluses that this has over the Gibson, I think wood selection is obviously better for the Heritage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The fingerboard is a darker, I think, better piece of rosewood on the Heritage.
See that?
This guitar also has ABR1 bridge. The previous models, like previous years, they had Schaller bridges, which are fine, but it kind of drifted away from what the classic spec. And the custom core stuff is I really like. I think that the headstock has an inlay on it, and I think this, for me, this neutralizes what my impression of the headstock for Heritage was prior, is that it was sort of a utilitarian afterthought. And this balances that out, I think, with the mother pearl inlay, and I think they call that a kite inlay. I think that's what the term is for it. But I really like the look of that. And as far as how this also differs, this has the Heritage has a little bit better finished frets on it, a little smoother playing than the Gibson R8. Both very nice, but also the Heritage there has jumbo frets or medium jumbo, and the R8 has narrow tall.
Yeah, I think that's one difference you feel when you play them. The Gibson neck is slightly wider, and this one does. I think the frets are a little easier to play. The playability of this guitar I found to be, I've only played them a little bit, but it's just a little easier.
Both of them have Royalite style binding, and rolled fretboards. Both play great. They feel a little different, but they are obviously of the vintage era spec that everybody loves about this style of guitar.
And I think we haven't talked about this, but I think both sets of pickups are unpotted.
Oh, that's true. Both are unpotted. We're going to play them, and I'll save some of this for later in the cool down. I'll talk about my experience going to pick this guitar up, this Heritage here, and another one, just as great looking and play wonderfully playable as the one you're holding there, Matthew. I will. I'll just give my reflections and opinion about the state of Heritage today, because I hadn't been over there since before COVID.
Really, that long ago?
I think it was that long ago, and
but you've seen their new setup.
I saw their new setup.
That was before
I
COVID.
think the last time I saw it was over there. They had just set up their new spray booth, and I saw their pickup winding set up, and anyway, it was impressive. And but let's play these guitars, and we can hear the difference between the two.
Okay.
Let's rearrange the guitars here, Matthew. It'll get you a bass, and we will be right back. Okay, we're back with the Gibson Les Paul R8 historic reissue, and we'll play clean and then a little dirty, and then we'll play the Heritage, and maybe contrast and discuss the tones that will be revealed.
Maybe we should just briefly say the weight of this guitar, if that's going to maybe make a slight difference.
This was 8 pounds 6 ounces. Slightly, the other one was 8 pounds 10 ounces.
I thought it lost a little bit.
It lost an ounce when I took the little medallion thing covering the switch off the back here. Yeah, that's a. And apparently, if you change the tuner buttons on the Heritage, the Grover style keys, to like a plastic Kluson style key, I guess that you can buy, that'll knock 2 pounds off. A little more than two. Sorry, not 2 pounds. A little more than 2 ounces off the weight of the guitar.
I was thinking about after you said that. I think you said that yesterday. I was thinking about would that take away from the tone because you're taking that weight away from the headstock.
Actually, it does change the tone. Yeah, that some people like the fat. Is it called the fat finger for basses?
Yeah,
that thing. Yeah, it changes the resonance of the neck and the body, particularly the neck, but it changes the resonance by putting the weight on the end of the headstock, and you do get a little different tone with Grover tuners on there. I think some people may do that, may switch to Grovers because they like that difference. Okay, let's go ahead and play here.
Okay.
A little dirtier. Okay, let's switch to the Heritage H150 Custom Core. And people that I am of the opinion that you ought to have both. If you've got the Les Paul Reissue, the Heritage Custom Core is a definite positive addition. I will put it that way. Okay, let's switch guitars. Here, be right back. Or were you going to say something?
Well, I was going to say, I heard someone today say, you're going back to the beginning, back home, and to 225 Parsons Street.
Oh, at the yes, it's true. I mean, it's true. That's where they were making these things right off the bat. Yeah,
right. It's neat that they're still making that style of guitar in that location, and then Heritage, as you've said, and you saw yesterday. I mean, they are dedicating a lot of effort and time to improving stuff. All the time.
Let me switch these guitars here, Matthew. I will be right back.
Do we get a drum roll again?
So try it. Sure, drum roll it is. We're back, and I have the Heritage Custom Core here with what I think is a very nice looking treatment of the headstock there with the inlays. Okay. We're going to play this. Should I give away my impressions between? I think we already did this. I thought these, when band practice, I thought that their pickups here, their, what do they call them? Custom 225? Heritage Custom Core 225 pickups or something?
Yeah.
Were a clearer pickup for sure. And I saw these being made. The interesting details that I thought were different than custom Buckers is Heritage is using real plain enamel wire for these. I picked up the spool myself and looked at it. To my knowledge, custom buckers are still made with a tinted poly wire that looks like plain enamel, but it's actually poly coated wire. They both use internal start wires still, I believe. The custom core and the custom buckers. But the other thing I noticed was when I was over at Heritage is I looked at the bobbins and I said, those look like butyrate bobbins to me because they have a little different sheen. And I asked them, and I picked one up, and they are butyrate bobbins. I don't even think they're advertising that. But I'm pretty sure custom bucker, I think the only butyrate bobbins you get from Gibson nowadays are the ones in their $999 pickups that come in the case. So anyway, there's a couple of I don't know, upgrade details with these, the Heritage pickups, that were not present in the Gibson. Okay, what are these called? Do you find the name of
the Heritage pickups in this guitar are called the 225 Classic Humbucker.
Yeah. Also, I guess I'll say a couple of details too about their setup over there. They're making pickups in the way we do it here is we have a smaller room, for some of the winding areas, so we can control the temperature. Mm-hmm. They had all their winding machines in a small, big enough for the machines, but it was one space that they can control the temperature in, not a big warehouse. And two, they have two guys that are doing this work, so I think part of the key to having consistency between pickups is you treat it more like a small group project rather than like you've got 8 people making bobbins and then you have 8 people assembling, right? You've got a couple of guys that are doing all of that top to back, top to bottom with from the winding to the assembly in a controlled environment like that. And so I'm guessing it leads to more consistency.
Yeah, better control.
Don't have enough of these to really say for sure, but I would guess that's a benefit that Heritage just got there. So, okay, should we play these?
I just noticed something here on my notes, but you like their the headstock or the inlay.
Let me see. We can see it there, right? Yes.
There you go. Camera. So they're calling that, Heritage calls that a Holly veneer Heritage logo with twin arrow inlay.
Twin arrow. Okay. I thought they called it kite inlay, but that would make sense. Twin arrow. Okay. So yes, the Holly veneer, again, that's another feature of a historic reissue Les Paul. It's another historically correct feature that they have built into these. Rolled edges, fretboard edges, and everything. Okay, let's play. Matthew, here, let me turn the distortion off there. Okay. That is both guitars. I don't know. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that comes through in the video. In practice, the impression we had was this one was clear.
I thought that
Other one is a little sort of red, crispier, reddier around the edges. Both tones. I put it this way: with both of these guitars, if I got them, and I would not feel like I would be. I am extremely happy with both guitars, and with the pickups, I would not feel that. I would be very pleased and not feel that there was something that would require the changing of these pickups. But they're definitely coming out.
You're gonna take them out?
I'm going to take them out. Well, the purpose actually of getting this guitar and the other one was we're going to do these magnet comparisons.
Right.
But I do think it's important to note that I think with either of these guitars, you've got a complete guitar that's like, it's not got a built-in problem. Let's put it that way. You know, you'd be very pleased with the pickups in these guitars. Are they improvable? Well, yes. You're not going to be surprised to hear ThroBak Electronics say, yes, you can optimize your tone with their pickups. But do these sound pretty good? Yeah, they do. We had band practice, and it was the proof was in the tones coming out of them.
Yeah, I found it room volume, the Gibson with the custom buckers. It distorted a little. It broke up a little quicker.
It was not quite as defined, not quite the clarity of the Heritage.
Just going over some of the internal stuff. So on the Gibson, it's saying it has CTS 500K audio taper potentiometers, paper and oil capacitors.
Yep, that's true. You do get. I haven't opened the Gibson up, but you do get bumblebees. I think Lux bumblebees are supposed to be in that.
In the Gibson.
In the Gibson, yeah. So you are paying more for the Gibson for some of these details, but the value. They both have their own sort of unique approach to the value. This has got some things that doesn't.
The Heritage on the
Heritage does.
The Heritage, it just says CTS potentiometer. It doesn't say the value.
I haven't checked. They sound like 500K to me, but I would assume that's probably what it is. It'd be interesting to check, though. I will check that when I take the pickups out.
And then it doesn't tell you what kind of capacitor it is, but it's a.
I took the back off, and it is a They are not bumblebee. They're orange drop capacitors.
Orange drop. Okay.
At least in this guitar, this lovely guitar right here, and okay. We're gonna do the Guitargument. We're gonna like battle out. One of us is gonna say that like the Heritage is travesty, and the other one's gonna say no, or the Gibson is just posing when it comes to an actual heritage to the original Kalamazoo made Les Paul. And I think we're maybe the only ones that can do this. We're not going to dime for this.
No.
We don't have to worry about Gibson cutting us off with stuff to review. We're not getting any sort of Sweetwater money out of this.
We might get...
now, to be clear, I really love both of these guitars, so it's not a complaint about anything. But, I mean, this is a heated discussion. You've got a crowd for years that was like, Gibsons are overpriced. Heritage is the same thing and better value.
Some people are very passionate about their guitars.
I am of the opinion that there's room for both in this world.
No.
Okay, we'll have to take sides of this in just a moment. Okay. So let's put these away, and we will be right back with that Guitargument. Okay, we're back, Matthew. We were discussing who should take the Heritage side and who should take the Gibson side, and we determined that I will take the Heritage side.
Okay.
And you will take the side of Gibson. Gibson is the rightful heir, the only Gibson style guitar of any importance and meaning on this planet. And I will be of the opinion that you are completely wrong and opposite in your opinions. That the Kalamazoo legacy still resides in Kalamazoo when it comes to the best of the golden era of the formerly Gibson Kalamazoo era. Okay, 5 minutes. You ready? You start, Matthew.
I'm starting. Okay. Gibson by far is the original and is the better of the two Les Paul style guitars, just by the very fact that they. Are we going to limit this to Les Paul's? Heritage makes the H535. This is a ES335 style guitar. Well, no, we're going to limit this to the guitars that we have. You have to go buy some more of those before we can compare that. I'm sure it'll happen. We're going to talk. Well, let's keep going. I think it's deeper than just the Les Paul. Well, because the Les Paul is not just. It's not just the shape; it's the original shape, the shape of the horn, which Heritage doesn't have, and it's that headstock, that how do you call it? The open book. The open book, the headstock. Okay, so you're concerned with with aesthetics. But the tone doesn't come into this. No. That makes part of the tone. How that shape of the headstock, that feel of the neck, and then the one you were playing right now, the 58. I mean, you're getting a very, very close, if not exact, replica of a guitar from 1958. Mm-hmm. And the Heritage is not trying to do that. They've adjusted and they've tried to make things. So if you're trying to get as close to, say, something that you could have gone into a store and bought in 1958, you got to go with the Gibson. Okay, you've made your case. Yes. I think the name says it all. Heritage. Why are people attracted to a Les Paul style guitar in the first place? It's because of the heritage of music that was created with the Les Paul ES335 that became such an important cultural icon, visual and musical, in pop culture. That happened when Gibson was in Kalamazoo, and it happened with hands and machines that many of which are still in Kalamazoo producing heritage guitars, or by people taught by those same hands that made those iconic instruments that once were made in Kalamazoo by the Gibson Corporation. You're talking about the original founders of the original Heritage. Founders of Heritage, yes. And it's not just that they're in the building. It's that the history associated with that building had to do with the people that produced those guitars in that building. And that heritage lives on today and is manifest itself most at its highest level 4.2 or something in the Heritage Custom Core guitar that I got right there on the wall. And is it exactly like a Gibson? No. Does it have the insight that is drawn from those that actually worked in the 50s, passed on at the Gibson shop, passed on their passion and skill to those who now are working and making these guitars, and their insights into how this guitar can be made not only a classic, which it is today, but can be made even better for the player. And that's the Heritage Custom Core. Mm-hmm. And you're not taking any money from them for
I'm
what
not
you're saying.
actually. I'm glad you have to play roles. I told you like both of these guitars.
Did they pull you aside and brainwash you when you were down there yesterday?
So that I maintain this.
No, the guys at
That
Heritage
you
are nice
have
guys.
you have people over there that are doing this for all the right reasons. They're not doing it out of corporate greed. They're not doing it because they were bought by some large entity that is only concerned about the bottom line. They are doing it because they are passionate about what they do. They realize that they are making an instrument that is a way to express the positive force, which is guitar.
And with that, I win.
Yeah.
No. I'm just looking on the wall, and I'm looking at you.
Okay, so
I'm looking at the Heritage. The top on that guitar
it's great.
is awfully nice.
Yeah.
A AAA top. Sometimes it can be overdone, but that one looks.
Well, so they've upped. I mean, again, I love both of these guitars. I have not got really a complaint about either of them. Again, the pickups are coming out, but that's not their. Well, I guess it's their fault. But we sell the pickups. It's not I'm not going to be putting them up here and thinking like these pickups aren't coming out. I bought them knowing I'm going to take the pickups out. But again, I will reiterate: if you bought either of these guitars and never changed the pickups, you're going to be very happy.
Sure.
So, but the Heritage, they've upped the game with, if you're comparing these, and price wise, I think an R8 is going to be in the same ballpark if they were talking about list price as this custom core with the AAA top. They've upped the game, Heritage has, and this has been their go-to thing. You get a nicer top, you get. I don't know if it's intentional, but the fretboard is darker and nicer looking fretboard on the Heritage.
No, it is.
And I think the addition of actually paying attention to the headstock as sort of a way to complete the look and feel of the guitar, that the holly veneer and all of that, it puts them both in the same ring. And then it's up to the consumer to decide, hey, what am I going for? Am I going for aesthetics only in terms of the name and the outline of the headstock and other subtleties, or am I going for the aesthetics of the top, the wood selection? Again, not a complaint about either one of these guys, but I think they complement each other. And I think if you got one, you got to have the other. I mean, who's got one guitar? There's a few out there.
No, they've done a nice job.
Yeah. So, okay, so we'll talk about. I'll talk about going over there. You were there a year and a half, 2 years ago, somewhere around there.
I believe
at Heritage,
July or August of 2024.
Now, to be fair, I've never been to Gibson in Nashville.
Okay.
So I can't compare other than with what I've seen on their own videos touring, but it looks like it's a very large facility, a very large sort of factory environment. So I went to Heritage, and but I can contrast Heritage of 10 years ago.
The Gibson Custom Shop is a different location.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You're right. The Gibson Custom Shop.
It's a standalone.
Yep, I've seen.
Unless
videos
it's changed, I don't think it has. But
yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's. I've seen. I'm kind of in my head imagining the videos I've seen of that, but I'll relate first the Heritage of prior to the current ownership, and it's currently owned by. It was Sweely. Is it Vista Music?
Yeah, it was.
I think they've just changed the name.
Well, Sweely is. I think that's the music retailer that's in the Far East. But then I think there are two different sort of parent companies. There's Vista Music, and then there's Caldecott.
Yeah. So Heritage, under the founding members' ownership, was a very cool and interesting place to go because it had all of the old equipment in the old original Gibson building that was built in 1911 or something, 1915, early 1900s.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was apparently a state-of-the-art facility with natural lighting and everything. But in the state it was when we saw it before the current owners, it was a very interesting but very dark sort of like place. You could tell was filled with history, but also piles of stuff.
Yeah, just
It
stuff
was very
everywhere.
interesting to see, and very interesting to see that the quality of instruments that they could make came out of there, because you knew they had to know what they were doing to know where everything was, and but it was sort of a time capsule in that regard, especially the bathroom. We've got video of that bathroom. The bathroom is pretty interesting. You have to watch it. It's definitely a throwback bathroom.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we have nice bathrooms here though. But anyway, so Heritage of today is still in that same complex, but they have taken a portion of what I think was Gibson's. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but Gibson, I think in the 60s and 70s, added on to the kind of progressively onto that old factory, and they're in a newer portion that they have modernized, and they still have some of the old stuff in there as far as the machinery goes, but it is now turned into an efficient space that is very well organized, clean. They have guitars that are completed. I mean, they're working over there, and I left thinking like that this is kind of exciting because they're clearly busy. I would think at this time of year, after that, they'd have a lead up to Christmas of being busy, but now sort of for factory stuff. And I would think for guitar-related production, that would start to slow down right now that their rush is kind of behind them for the year. But they were quite busy making guitars in a very well-organized way. I got to see their age guitars that they were producing, and it all looked great. It's the sort of thing you go there and you're like, I literally was thinking like, the guitar is such a cool thing. It makes people happy. It's making me happy just looking at them.
Did you see them doing some of their aging?
I didn't see them doing any aging. In fact, I wasn't even clear if all of the if some of the aging is done in a different area. But I saw the completed guitars that were aged.
Okay.
And, they had workstations that were where people were, doing their thing. They're making guitars. And the guitars we got look great. And I can say, compared to guitars from the previous ownership, these seem to be less variable. Let's put it that way. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I think even just the headstock, in fact, I'm quite sure of this, the headstock, they did not have a standardized headstock prior. I think that's one of the things that the current owners changed is they standardized the size of the headstock and the look of it, just to kind of, so everything's on this, just to give it the consistency of a brand.
Yeah.
It seems a little bit wider maybe than it was prior. And
yeah, do you see some that were some of the Heritage headstocks used to be very kind of tall at the top, and then the placement of the Heritage logo would vary a little bit. And
yeah. The way I said it before was I kind of felt like the headstock was an afterthought for an otherwise, well thought out instrument, and that the headstock was kind of utilitarian by nature for them, and that just the addition of sort of a holly veneer and mother pearl inlay and logo, I think really puts it on the same level as what you expect from what was, previously made in the building. Okay, do you have anything to add to that, Matthew?
Well, I just want to add too that I don't know if they're doing anything more, but they also make the Harmony line of guitars down there as well.
That's right.
The USA made Harmonies.
Yeah, they were making those too, and I won't say anything about what some of the things I saw there.
Okay.
But if you're a Harmony fan, if these things come to pass, you'll find it pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
I think it's in the idea stage, but often these things that are in the idea stage don't kind of make it beyond the prototype stage. But I guess that's all I can say about that.
Cool.
But yeah, that's the other part. It's a production place, but it's not a mammoth facility.
No.
In the sense that, again, I will relate the pickup winding area is that they're obviously busy, but it's an efficient space that's optimized to the task at hand. But you've got two guys that are handling the entire build of it, and I think that having that knowledge among a couple of people, you produce more consistent stuff than having stages of work where you have maybe one or two guys that all they do is they solder the leads on bobbins all day, which I think is, with the volume of someplace like Gibson, that's often how it works. You have, so it's a place
very specialized work, people doing.
Yeah, you have, so at Gibson you may I don't know how many, 8, 10 people that do nothing but wind bobbins. But they're not, beyond that, that's all they do all day. And, but you have a place like Heritage, and here you have a small number of people that handle almost the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And at Heritage, it appears they handle start to finish, the production of it. And it's just the fact of that, I think you can't help but get a more consistent spec pickup out of that.
So to conclude,
and again, I'll mention it. They are using plain enamel wire on the pickups for the Heritage, and they're using butyrate bobbins too. I don't think the same holds true for the custom shop Gibson with the custom buckers. I should say this too. It's related to it, and I guess I've said it before. Of sort of customer contacts that we get, as far as pickups they want to change out, it's overwhelmingly custom buckers, and I think part of that is, overwhelmingly Gibson guitars. New guitars have custom buckers in the price range that where someone might consider replacing their pickups with ThroBak pickups. And I have several guitars, several Gibsons that came with custom buckers. And my experience with them has been that a couple of them sound quite good in the guitar, but the consistency between guitars as far as how they sound in them is spotty. And I wonder if part of that is this sort of a wider variation of specs you just get in that environment, in a large factory environment with Gibson. So, but again, both of the guitars here I played them at band practice, both the Heritage and the Gibson. Again, if I had them and I didn't ever change the pickups, I would be more than pleased with the guitars. But again, they're definitely coming out because I'm sure I can make these things sound better, and just I can up the level of what is already a great instrument, which is, I hope, is what we provide to customers. Is the ThroBak ad done? Have I missed anything?
Well, that's what I like to look at these. At the end of the day, they're nice instruments, they're beautiful instruments, but they are tools of the trade, and they have to undergo some brief minor surgery.
Well, I mean, yes, that's right. These were purchased with the purpose. And the purpose is to, demonstrate for both us and for customers the great stuff that we do.
Right.
Okay.
So that's going to be coming up
in
future videos.
Oh, I still have it on player grade. We went through the Guitargument and the cool down, and now, okay, Matthew.
Rorschach Riffs.
Rorschach Riffs. We need to get through the show, and you've got the riffs to do it.
Exactly.
Okay, what kind of guitar do you need?
I think I'll try the Heritage for this
Heritage.
one.
Okay.
That's okay.
Let me get the guitar. Oh, and by the way, and I'm gonna say, what other item in the world produces so much joy as a guitar? It's for the player. It's for the people consuming the music. I mean, it's like it's. And and I got to say this too. Now I can't say this about Gibson because I have not visited there. And my impression of them might be similar to what I have at Heritage, but when I went to Heritage, we know Pete Farmer.
Mm-hmm.
He is a very positive guy.
He's a great salesman.
He knows what he's doing. He knows how to communicate what the great stuff that they're doing there, and he's clearly enthusiastic. And I think that it serves the place well to have that attitude from someone like him at the head of the custom shop at Heritage, because I think it just communicates that to everybody else who he's working with them.
Sure. He sets
and
the
now
tone.
I will say that I don't know Tom Murphy, but he seems like the same kind of guy. In the sense that you see videos of him, and he's very open about sharing what he knows in the Gibson videos, and it seems like a very friendly guy that is trying to he's making stuff that people love. He knows that it's all good. I love that. I feel like it's lucky that we can make stuff that brings people joy, and you get that when you go someplace like that. Because I'm feeling happy just looking at the stuff they make. Okay, I need to stop that, but it's do your riffs. Let me get a notepad.
Here, you got this paper over here.
Oh, sure, I'll do that.
Or you need your little
here's
book.
that. I've got my little special notepad right here. Okay.
Okay, so this segment. Now this I did a little. You kind of put a little idea in my head. So because we're kind of getting near the end of the year, I put together. There's 4 riffs, but 2 of them are riffs that I'm going to be recycling, but kind of my favorite ones from this past year. And so 2 are new, if I'm not mistaken, and 2 are.
Oh, this is
recycled.
This is a sort of year-end best of.
Kind of. I just sort of got it into my head, and then I said, well, maybe I'll do that.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
So there's going to be 4 riffs.
Okay.
And I'll do. They will be kind of abbreviated, and then I can add more if
this
I
is
need to.
This is a Rorschach Riffs partial redux.
Partial redux.
Okay.
too new, too old. So it's like a
well,
something borrowed,
have you chosen
old.
something from a different part of the song?
No, I didn't think of that.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
I can do that, but
Go ahead.
I'm not going to do it like that because I just got it in my head this way. So we'll see.
Oh, here I got the Rorschach Riffs cam here.
Oh, ready? Okay, so here we go. I got a little bit there.
Okay, well, we got to see your playing hand here, Matthew.
Oh, sorry. Let me get it up.
Okay, all right.
Okay, hang on.
Okay. If you did that so quickly now, okay.
I can do it a little more.
Hold on, wait,
If you need a little more, tell me. But I kept it brief.
Hold on. Okay. Okay. Okay, hold on. Okay. I've forgotten the last one. Okay, go do them again. Okay. Okay. No. Okay. I know them all. I know them all.
Okay.
Do them again for the audience, but I know
a
them
little
all.
more or no?
Sure. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, it's good that you added more to the first one because I thought it was a different song.
That can happen.
So I thought play the first one without adding the extra. Okay, see now then it becomes a different song.
So what did you think?
I thought it was Sunshine of Your Love, but I mean maybe that's gonna. But it's Cocaine,
right?
By the Eric Clapton version, or probably I'm guessing.
Yes, yeah,
not the what's the
just one night version.
Who's the guy?
JJ Cale.
JJ Cale. Yeah.
Cale.
Okay, the second one is Sweet Emotion.
Yep.
By and that was a fairly recent one, Matthew.
I know. I just like that one. I'm sorry.
Should I Stay or Should I Go?
Just a little.
By The Clash. The last one is Midnight Rambler by the Rolling Stones. One of my favorites.
That is a good song.
Especially live.
And it's the live version, not the studio.
Yeah.
The studio version is pretty tame. It's yeah.
Okay.
Now I did that. I did the Midnight Rambler one. Got that down?
Yeah.
I did the Midnight Rambler one because we'll move on to the Musings, but the Musings today kind of tie in with last week because there's news from last week's Musings.
Okay.
So today, the day we're filming this will air on the 20th of December, our Christmas show, but today's the 18th, and today is the 82nd birthday of Keith Richards.
Oh, that's right.
And he's in the news.
They're in the news because they're not going to tour.
Apparently, and the word is that Keith could not commit to a 4-month summer tour, and I couldn't get access to the news article, but one headline said it's because of arthritis. So I don't know if that's true or not, but he has had some. If you look at his hand, he's got some.
I saw like there was a Gear Page thread about it, but it had a clip of him playing a gig in November. Seemed fine.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I think it's like that's a big commitment. You're looking at he lives in Connecticut. It's going to be a European tour, and he's got to basically be over there for 4 months.
Yeah,
and he's just turned 82, so.
Well, it'd be a lot of work for anybody.
Yeah.
Even if you're able to be kind of have your own the level of cocoon that I'm sure that the Rolling Stones can create wherever they go, it's still work.
It's still work.
It's still a lot to do.
There's pressure, there's deadlines. And then how they do it now, because they are in their 80s. I think almost all of them, except is Ronnie Wood. I don't think he's quite 80 yet, but they are. They do like one show every 4 to 5 days. So they definitely spread it out, and then they're doing stadiums. And apparently, I read somewhere that he wasn't really interested in doing these stadium gigs. So I don't know what else they could do. Some people have sort of mentioned that, they might do something in Las Vegas at the Sphere, but I can't see that being something that they would do, because a Stone show is about the band. Mm-hmm. Like the first time I ever saw them was on the Steel Wheels tour, and I was like, oh, I get it. They are greater than the sum of their parts. I mean, it was like they do, when they're on, they do sound very good, you know, playing together. It's sort of like you get that band experience that you read about, you know, and then when you see it, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
So it is his birthday, so happy birthday, Keith, I hope everything.
Maybe he's watching or listening right now.
He could be.
If you are, leave a message in the comments. We'd like to know.
Yeah, he could be this, you know, on YouTube, and
maybe he's got an opinion about the Heritage Gibson battle,
or maybe he'd like to try out your Telecaster humbucker.
That's right. We'll have
right behind you.
Yeah, that's our combo of what we feel is best for the humbucker Telecaster single humbucker combo.
So who knows?
You might need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all I got today.
Okay.
For that.
All right. So that's it. That's the show.
That's it.
We're gonna play us out here with the music. Your sweater there.
My Christmas sweater. Merry Christmas, everybody.
In which you let the world know that your cats own you.
They do own me. I am just their servant.
Right there.
May you have a Merry Christmas, and may everyone get a guitar in their stocking.
Yeah, of course. Pickups too.
Pickups, an amplifier.
All right.
Thanks for watching.